Not a hoax. Human DNA in hot dogs. This one kind of surprised me. Well, for a second, and then I realized that we live in this world, and then I wasn't quite as surprised, but it's still disturbing. When I first saw this, I thought it was one of those Facebook posts that, I thought it was a hoax. I didn't really believe it. But um, I saw it kind of blow up and go all over the place, and so I looked into it, and this is actually real. USA Today, well, really a bunch of places, but the article I'm looking at right now is from USA Today. They reported on this, and it says here hot dogs are considered one of the most American foods. However, a report uncovers some startling findings on what people are really eating when they bite into a Frankfurter. Clear Food analyzed 345 hot dogs and sausages from 75 different brands sold at 10 real retailers and found that 14% had hygienic or substitution issues, according to the report. And it says here that substitution means when ingredients are added to the product that are not displayed on the label, and hygienic issues happen when a non harmful contaminant is introduced to the hot dog. The online food guide, which uses genomic technology to examine foods by ingredients, found human DNA in 2% of the samples, and this is really surprising, in two-thirds of the vegetarian samples. Um, Other important findings include 10% of vegetarian products actually contained meat. And I went and checked that out. I have another article we can look through in a second, but that's actually true too. Um, Samples showed chicken, beef, turkey, and lamb were found in products that were not supposed to have those ingredients. 67% of hygienic problems found in the report were from vegetarian products. But it isn't all bad news. Clear Foods finds there are a number of hot dog manufacturers, large and small, that are producing high quality hot dogs with integrity. It says here Butterball, McCormick, Eckrich, and Hebrew National received the top scores for quality hot dogs among major brands, and Gardein topped the specialty and regional hot dog list. The report comes amid unrelated research released by the World Health Organization on Monday that finds eating hot dogs, ham, and other processed meat can cause cancer. So, um, which is not surprising, but still, I mean, that's the world we live in. Everything makes you sick. My wife and I don't really eat hot dogs a whole lot, but when we do, we get Hebrew National, and we haven't had any problems with that. It's not like we feel sick afterwards or anything. Um, but my wife and I, we eat kosher now. It's a lot healthier. Um, so we stay away from pork and stuff as it is. But Hebrew National seems to be good. I mean, it's listed here in the top, the ones that had the top scores. But yeah, human DNA, and it says that it's only in 2% of the samples. But man, that's still a lot. That's not something I'd want to place a bet on. I mean, that's insane. Think about how often. I mean, I grew up on hot dogs and stuff like that. Um, ugh. But anyway, what do you guys think about that? What is it a big deal? Is it I mean, is it possible that these type of contaminants are just found in all our food, and we just don't know, so it's not really a big deal, or is it like how it's reading to me, like absolutely disgusting? There's this other report here about the vegetarian food, which this is surprising. You would think they would have higher standards, but I guess not. Um, and I mean the people making the vegetarian foods, not vegetarians themselves. I'm not trying to insult anybody. I actually was a vegetarian for a while. I personally just couldn't do it. But some people are. I think it's a perfectly fine way to a perfectly good diet to have, and it has a lot of health benefits. Um, but it says here that this was from CNN.com that 10% of vegetarian hot dogs contain meat. Um, So, according to a study from Clear Labs, so it's the same uh, organization, I guess, a food analytics startup, 10% of vegetarian hot dogs products contain meat. Perhaps worse, the company found hygiene issues in 4 of its 21 vegetarian samples. It also found human DNA, which we just talked about, in 2% of the hot dog samples. 2/3 of vegetarian. That's insane. 2/3 of vegetarian. That's way more than just 2% of normal hot dogs. Vegetarian hot dog, 2/3 of those. 2 out of every 3 hot dogs. Like that's crazy. Um, and processed meat cause cancer, says the WHO. It says overall 14.4% of the hot dogs and sausages tested by Clear Foods were problematic. Um, let's see what else we have. Its results on hot dogs aren't always comforting. Overall, the company found nutritional label inaccuracies, pork substitution, and some unexpected ingredients, including chicken or lamb. And yeah, I mean, if that stuff isn't properly labeled, that's not good either. Again, this one names those same companies, Butterball, McCormick, Eckridge, and Hebrew National, that has a score of 96 out of 100 based on their formula, though it doesn't really explain what the formula is or how they came to that, but it's interesting nonetheless. Now, there's a quote here from Martin Weidman, a Cornell University professor and expert on food safety. Apparently, he's skeptical of the results. He says, "This is telling us nothing new about hot dogs." He said, It's sensationalist marketing ploy by companies designed to sell their services." And it says he observed that genetic sequencing may indicate something significant or not. Clear's techniques are proprietary, so for outside experts, the company's results raise questions. So yeah, you should leave a comment about that too. What do you think about his opinion? Is it just a sensationalist marketing ploy from companies, or what are we looking at here? Another professor of Michigan State University, who also specializes in food safety, said this: "The use of genetic analysis in this type of setting is actually fascinating. I think we are going to see a lot more of this type of analysis happening, seeing how well food content matches food label." And it says, however, she'd also like more information, particularly on the finding of human DNA. So she goes on to say, when you're working with genetic material, depending on the analytic technique, you can find a very, very small amount of DNA that's not supposed to be in there. So this accusation of finding human DNA in there, you can detect a very small amount, but they're not quantifying the amount. It could be just a few cells versus a percentage content. It says here, Wilkins suspects that as genetic testing becomes more widespread, whether from Clear or from other companies, food manufacturers will have to react. The whole issue of food adulteration is starting to become a really hot area right now, and I think a lot of people became aware of the issue in meat fairly recently, she said, referring to the horse meat found in hamburgers in Britain in 2013. A lot of times, food adulteration issues are not a food safety concern necessarily, but still, it's disturbing to think that you might be eating something you're not aware of. So I think companies will want to be very careful about how they label, and they may want to be doing more testing of their supplies. And I can agree with that. So what do you guys think? I mean, this kind of goes back to the video we did a few days ago on the GMO stuff, and not they're not labeling things properly or really at all. They can put stuff in there and not tell us. Uh, for me, I think this is, again, it's taking away our right to choose what we're putting in our bodies, even if this just is a mistake. As far as the DNA thing, I don't know. It kind of sounds like one side of the issue could be, well, if you test something, you're going to find that in anything because people work at factories, and we have skin cells that flake off. It just happens. Um, we deal with it every day. So there's that side, and then there's the other side that's like, yeah, but it's still human DNA in our food. That's still kind of an issue. There's this other one here, and this is from USA Today, and I don't know if they plan this as Like the story's not a joke, but just the way that they have this set up. I don't know if they did this purpose on purpose or what. All right, so the headline is hot dogs, bacon, processed meats linked to cancer. Okay, so it's talking about bacon and pork products and some processed meat and stuff. So bacon's right in the title. It's written by a guy named John Bacon, apparently, and the advertisement right above the article, it's a video promoting bacon. So I don't know if they did that as a joke or if it's just coincidence, but I thought that was kind of odd. Um, but anyway, so getting to the article, it says here eating hot dogs, ham, and other processed meat can cause cancer, and eating red meat probably can cause cancer, the World Health Organization's cancer agency reported Monday. And, it's kind of like what doesn't cause cancer nowadays. It says Kurt Strafe of the International Agency for Cancer Research said the risk of developing um, colorectal cancer from eating processed meats remains small, but rises with the amount consumed. Consumed red meat was linked to colorectal, pancreatic, and prostate cancer, but the link was not as strong. The IARC report said. In view of the large number of people who consume processed meat, the global impact on cancer incidence is of public health importance. The IARC report labeled processed meat a carcinogen. Cigarettes are similarly labeled and said red meat is probably carcinogenic to humans. The North American Meat Institute scoffed at the report, saying it ignored numerous studies showing no link between meat and cancer. Red and processed meat are among 940 agents reviewed by IARC and found to pose some level of theoretical hazard. Institute spokeswoman Betsy Burin said. Only one substance, a chemical in yoga pants, has been declared by IARC not to cause cancer. So that's strange. Um, and then there's a couple more paragraphs about it, but I'll put the link in the show notes so you can check it out on your own. So, what do you think about all this? Should we, as a culture, be paying more attention to what's in our foods and what we're eating, or in some ways, has that choice been taken away from us? How can anyone really adequately do that in the world and the culture that we live in when we live in a country here in America where they can put things in our food and they don't have to tell us, um, and regardless of what they say that it's this stuff may not be or probably isn't carcinogenic or whatever, the fact still remains cancer is rising exponentially. My father-in-law, one of the best people I've ever known in my life, he passed away from cancer recently. It hasn't been that long, and I mean, my wife is still heartbroken over that. And he didn't smoke or anything. He lived a healthy life, and it's still he's still got it. So cancer's on the rise. It's caused from something. Obviously, it would seem the likeliest candidate would be the types of food that we're eating and the type of lifestyle that we choose to live. There are people that really go out of their way to take care of their bodies and to stay healthy and still get cancer. So, of course, there's a lot of different causes for it, and there's a lot of different cancers. But so, would making this one change really make that much of a difference, or is it like every little bit helps kind of situation? So I want to know what you think. Go ahead, leave a comment, and if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel. We'd love to have you. We do videos like this every day, so yep, go ahead and subscribe, leave a comment, rate, all that fun stuff. And as always, take care and God bless.